the whole building was intended to be a combination of Japanese and Tibetan traditions.
Right.
And on the outside, it seems like those don't really go together all that well because they're very different styles. So we've used the Tibetan for a lot of the ornament and for the front entry, but we've used a Japanese style, and actually a very traditional Japanese style, for the roof. The roof is going to be copper colored on the ground floor, and then gold on the second and third floors. And one of the things that we've been doing is we're adding these Tibetan elements to the Japanese roof. So we have on the top, we have the sertak, kind of piece that goes on the top of a traditional Tibetan temple, but it's sitting on a more Japanese beam at the very top. That will be in copper, covered with copper, and then the gold roof will come down. And then on the end of the gold roof, the Japanese often have some kind of ornament there, but we're using a particular Tibetan ornament, which is called a chusing, and it's this kind of alligator-shaped ornament that kind of covers the very tip. And the roof is like the heaven element of the building. If you have like a heaven, earth, and man principle with the building, the roof is the heaven, the heaven aspect, and that's about the whole vision in some sense. And in some ways, the whole building is about the roof. And that's like that in the Japanese temples. You go into a courtyard, you see the temple. What do you see? You see this roof. It's huge, it's beautiful, and it's nicely proportioned.
So if we synchronize this and this, I think it looks nice.
Now this one in the front, when we were talking before, you said this needed to be thick, like 16.
So in this, I've been working really closely with Takeda, who is a Japanese woodworker. He makes beautiful, beautiful furniture and installations. And he has a very different eye than a Westerner has for the proportions and how things go together. So the two of us have been working on this, and I've also done lots of looking at Japanese temples online, in books, and trying to see what the subtleties are that make it look Japanese, because you can also see when people are in the West are imitating a Japanese style, it's hard to pull it off. It doesn't quite look right, and it's hard to see why it doesn't look right. But then Tak will come in and say, oh, it's because you can't keep it perfectly straight. Even if, like yesterday he said this, even if there's just a small curve in it, it will add tremendous richness to the building. It makes a big difference if you cut the underside of the veranda one angle, and then where it comes outside the main beam there, you cut it a slightly different angle. It makes a big difference in how it looks. So we're trying to do as much of that as we can. Keep it within the Japanese mode.